What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the GSN Sports Network podcast. I'm your host, John J. II. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm really happy to have everyone with us. Episode 115 of the GSN Sports Network podcast. Wow, it's hard to imagine. It's hard to look back and think and imagine how many episodes we have and how long this has been going on. It's a passion project, nothing short of it. And we're happy to bring it to you guys August 6th, 2025. Got a great show in store for you. So as we know, we're kind of in the lull of the sports season. And we got college football to look forward to. All right. August 23rd is week 0 for college football. Keep that on your calendars. Put it on your calendars if it's not there yet. We're going to talk about college football here in a little bit. Also, the NFL is already started. All right. Now, we've talked about the Lions, I believe, in brief, and they got a lot of work to do. Now, were we hopeful? Were we hopeful going into the game against the Chargers? I think some of us were, but I don't want to speak for everybody when I say that because it's easy to take very common opinions on things. But you have to think about it for a second. Break it down. Let's just talk about the Lions real quick because we have to. And I know that's what Robert would want if he was here with us on the show. That's what a lot of our gin guys would want if that's what we were talking about. So the Lions, yes, it's week 0. We get it. It's week 0. Essentially, it's a week 0 for several weeks in NFL football because they have the preseason. That's one of the beauties of college football is they don't have preseason. It's all week 0 is you're in the business. You are playing for a real record, and that's just the reality of it. So the Lions, they underperformed last week, and that's not what we wanted from them. And I say we as a Michigander, not as much as a Lions fan, as you guys very well know. But you got to see better from your depth. You got to see better from your second string, third string guys. Now, I know you're not playing your first string guys, okay? But it has to be said. You have to count on your depth, and they counted on their depth to get as deep as they got last year. They needed their depth on their side because they were super banged up. They needed the help, and they came through. They played with grit, and that's what they're known for. So that's what we didn't really see much of. The Chargers came out swinging. They came out, punched the Lions in the nose. I know Dan Campbell doesn't like to lose football games. He doesn't like to lose at anything. But when you have to take on the nose like that, and damn it, when you can't get 2 rushing touchdowns, which I got to give it to Blake in our Discord, threw that prop in there, and I liked it. I tailed it. A lot of the guys tailed it. It seemed like a lock. I mean, you're talking, you hope you get 2 touchdowns first and foremost. But not only that, you hope that 2 of them are rushing touchdowns. Maybe you get 3 or 4 touchdowns. Okay, it's not really, especially with the scoring that the Lions were capable of last year with maybe not all their guys, but most of their first string guys on offense. They were capable of doing some damage and putting some points on the board on offense. That didn't happen this past Thursday. Got Nicholas Herkner in the chat. Can't wait for Lions football. Yes, absolutely. A lot of people can't wait for Lions football, but seeing what we saw on Thursday makes us want to wait a little longer for Lions football, just because we don't want to see any more of that. Now, that's one thing I could say that I liked, that I enjoyed. Maybe not being a Lions fan and being right next to everybody wearing the Honolulu blue and cheering and shouting and screaming, but I got to watch some good football. I got to watch good offensive play. I got to watch good defensive play. I got to see good special teams play. I got to see good, finishing out gritty wins when the going gets tough. And in the past, the Lions are losing those games. They're losing those 50-50 games. So to see them not lose those games, but instead win those games, win those 50-50 games. That's what they did last year. That's what was exciting to watch with the Lions. Went to the practice Monday night. I mean, how are they looking in practice? Nick, give me some insight because, I mean, whatever I saw, I mean, you're seeing old-fashioned Lions turnovers. You're seeing lackadaisical play. You're seeing Hendon Hooker try to do everything from the backfield with very minimal help from the line. Now, I think with Frank Ragnow being gone and some pieces being gone, especially on your offensive line, I gotta be seeing those first string guys play. Whether they're first string guys or not, if they're a new addition to your offensive line, we have to see them in a preseason game. And what better time to play them than the Hall of Fame game? Something else is I got to see more angst from Dan Campbell. I know he had to have got to a point where it's like, all right, we can't let this happen to us in a Hall of Fame game. There's some showmanship involved. Yeah, it's kind of a fluff game and whatnot as far as a game, but the aura around it, that is the first glimmer of NFL football that anybody is going to get. Give the people somewhat of what they want. I mean, can you completely shut that out? If someone in the background is telling him that he can't do that and that he can't play some first string guys or some second string guys that are right there that are getting a lot of touches, then I got to know that, because that looks bad on Dan Campbell. It looks bad on that coaching staff. And it looks really bad on those new coordinators. So we got to see better. Period. End of story. Yeah, Hendon Hooker, in my opinion, is the least of our concerns for looking terrible. And you got to start from the grassroots. You got to start from the offensive line. What kind of chemistry do we have with the offensive line? It's nothing. It's zero. That cohesion isn't there. And maybe it's just the depth. Okay, but I think you gotta have a lot of second string guys that are ready to get out there if a guy gets his ankles rolled up on, if he gets, if he pulls a hammy. Okay, these guys are seeing the field. Now those guys have to play in a Hall of Fame game. All right, maybe it's not your first string line, but I have to see second stringers in there, because there's third, maybe fourth string in some positions on the line, but I got to see a better line, because we really didn't get to see much out of Hendon Hooker on Thursday because the line was so bad. So I can't stress that enough. It all starts with the line. I'm not giving Hendon Hooker any passes. I think I give him a partial pass just because it all starts with the line. And there's certain things, if you're playing against a fierce defense, they want to bite your head off. You just got to have that half a second of protection. Because if you don't have that, forget about it. Forget about it. All right, it's not going to happen. In the same vein of the NFL, we got to talk about the smelling salts. Now, when I played high school football, we had smelling salts. A kid had them from his dad, which is usually a doctor or a pharmacist or something like that. He stole a box of them. You crack them, you sniff them. You really have, it's almost like an intoxicating feeling, where it is just a rush of energy, a rush of blood flooding your sinuses. And it really is a hell of a feeling. If you've never done it before, try to get your hands on some smelling salts. So the controversy was, is there no smelling salts? Is there no smelling salts at all? Now, Josh Allen was pissed about it. There were some edge rushers on defense that were pissed about it. A lot of guys, a lot of names. Really, you can't even keep track of the amount of guys that were pissed about this. Because you need that rush. I bet coaches were pissed about it. You need that rush. You're on the sidelines. You need to wake me up. Sometimes a Red Bull ain't going to get it done. So there was some miscommunication with how this news was released. All right. It's not so much the fact that smelling salts are not a thing, that they cannot be on the sidelines. They're not permitted on the sidelines anymore. No, that's not the case. Supposedly, through the grapevine, this is what I heard. Supposedly, clubs, teams, these franchises, they're not allowed to provide their team, their players, their coaches, their staff with the smelling salts. It can't be a team-provided substance. But they can still be used on the sidelines if you provide your own smelling salts. So now, not only are, this is so mundane. Now, this would be bigger, more headline news if they were cutting out smelling salts altogether. All right. But now this really seems like not much of a story. But it really begs the question: why even do that? Why even do that? Because now you're telling these players to do. Now you're telling these coaches to do. These coordinators, these guys up in the booth with headsets on. Now they got to find a smelling salts plug. You understand that? So you're creating a monster. You're creating an issue, an obstacle that really shouldn't be there. When really we should be looking at the rule book and seeing how can we make this more like football. That's what I got to see more of. That's what Roger Goodell should be focused on, not smelling salts, not teams providing their players with smelling salts. Okay? Your head's in the wrong area. Your priorities are jacked up. And we got to see better. We got to see better out of a commissioner. Now, just to speak on what a commissioner's roles are. Okay, we'll actually jump into the pro capper because the roles of a commissioner are to facilitate. They're to make guidelines. It's to have a democratic process, democracy. You got to have democracy. You got to have the people's voices heard. But not only that, you got to hear the voices of the fans. You got to hear the voices of those that are in participation of the event itself. Maybe not the event, they're not creating the event, but they're a huge piece of the puzzle when it comes to the overarching effect of the event. They're a big deal. Okay? Focus on things that are going to affect the game as a whole. Now, definitely, as far as CTE, bringing guys into the tent, things like that, I'm totally in support of that. Player safety should be paramount. But to make preventative measures, and we're not going to get into this right now. We don't have time to do it tonight. But to go crazy with the preventative measures in the form of rules, that really shouldn't be the case. And I'm going to highlight the kickoff. It's too much. It's too much. Focus on intricacies. Focus on time for the play clock. Okay, how far can a coach step over the line before it's a flag? Things like that. Think about things like that are intricacies. You're not completely changing the framework of how a down is played or how the kickoff is to be played out. You're changing intricacies. You're changing small, minute rules that really won't have much of an effect on the game itself. It won't change the game. It'll just polish it. It'll make it a little bit shinier under the light. So that's what you want to do. That's what they're not doing. So as far as the pro capper, we're bringing in Robert Rocco. He's our head NFL guy here at GSN. He's going to be cracking some skulls in the pro capper because we need that. People need that. The community needs that. And I can't be focused on it because I got to be focused on other things. All right, let's just be honest. Fantasy isn't the main thing that's happening all the time. Yes, it does surround a lot of the fall and into the winter, and I will be very much involved. But as far as rules, as far as someone that can look at the game analytically, someone that can look at the bright side of things, look at the glass half full, but also be able to crack some skulls, it's very much like a Dan Campbell guy. And Robert Rocco is very Dan Campbell-esque. So, Robert, if you're watching this, that's a big compliment, buddy, because I really look up to Dan Campbell. And you're going to be a great addition to the Pro Capper. So I'm looking forward to having you with us on there, not only as a commissioner, but also as a player, a manager. So it's going to be exciting to have you. Don't kick my ass, though. Don't kick my ass, though, like week one, all right? Because you might be decommissioned. I'm just kidding. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. There won't be any power struggles. Listen, Robert's going to have the final say when it comes to the Pro Capper, when it comes to how fantasy is done, when it comes to how trades are conducted, when it comes to draft order, when it comes to validity of trades, invalidity of trades, things of that nature. Robert is going to be the final say in all controversial issues. So we don't have to worry about that. We're not worried about it at all. So The Golf Johnny tip of the week is chip away at bad play. And the only way to do that is to play more golf. You got to play more golf. You got to hit more balls. Okay. Now, it's not only playing more golf and hitting more balls, because you get to a point in your golf game, in your life, in your golf career, where you seem like you're plateauing. You're like, damn, I'm playing pretty good. I'm hitting some good shots. I'm playing some good holes, but I just feel like I'm not getting any better. And it's easy to get into that lull, into that stagnant period of your career. So, what do you have to do? You have to keep the good aspects of your game, the good facets, and get rid of the bad ones. Get rid of the bad habits. Okay. And it's kind of like the first Happy Gilmore: harness good, block bad, feel the flow happy. Okay. Remember that scene at the beginning where they both call each other psycho, and it's a good satirical moment. It's a great part of the movie. Very timely, very relevant to what we're talking about here. Chip away at bad play. Keep the good aspects of your game, but get rid of the bad aspects. Now, this is easier said than done. This doesn't happen overnight. This happens over the course of your lifetime. You will constantly be battling this. Now, even Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Jordan Spieth, I know he's had it tough the last couple months. JT, Tiger in his prime, Phil in his prime. List goes on and on. These guys have to do this also. They're not exempt. They're not ixnayed from the list of people that are, forced to live by these parameters. You're always chipping away at bad play. And it's that acceptance of, I know I'm a golfer. I know I'm a human being. All these guys that are dominating on tour and even on live, they're human as well. They have the skills that I have. So that brings you solace of knowing, and that's when you hit a tour level shot. That's why that happens. It's just the consistency and the percentage of that happening, that's much lower. That's the only difference between an amateur and a pro player and a tour player, is the consistency of outcome. So don't be so focused on the consistency of the outcome per se. That will come naturally. Be focused on the setup. Be focused on the backswing. Be focused on the mechanics. But keep in mind, even knowing this, you still have to get up to the ball, address it, and hit the ball. That's going to be the case no matter what. So be focused, chip away at bad habits, harness in the good habits, keep them close, put them in a notebook, put them in a journal, do whatever you got to do. Keep them in your memory bank, apply them to muscle memory. But at the end of the day, you got to hit the ball. So it's finding that middle ground to achieve that comfortability. And if you put it all together, you will achieve those results that you are looking for to some extent. And even if nothing more, having those words go through your eardrums, you're already better. You're already better. So I'll leave it at that. I can go down a rabbit hole. You guys know I can talk about golf forever. And I love doing it. I love golf. It's one of my favorite pastimes. It's just a great sport all around. The highs, the lows, the roller coaster-esque-ness of it. It is like going to a theme park. It's like going to SeaWorld. It's like going to Cedar Point. Riding out the highs and the lows, trying and searching and chasing to have those highs nonstop. That's what makes you come back. That's what makes golf so fun. And that's what makes us live with the bad shots and the bad times when we're playing terrible, right? That's what there's all it takes is one shot, and that'll keep you coming back. Moving on, let's talk about college football. As we kind of alluded to at the beginning of the show, the 2025 season is set to start on August 23rd. That is a Saturday for those calendar hogs. Week 0. The first game is the Aer Lingus College Football Classic, which the Iowa State Cyclones will face off against the Kansas State Wildcats in Dublin, Ireland, 12 p.m. Eastern. ESPN. So that's what's going to be, you talk about week 0. All right. Week 0 is week 0. But at the same time, it is week 0. That is still week 1, even though it's week 0. Okay. For these guys, it is week 0, but it's week 1. Okay. Don't get that confused. It's really, it's just a figure of speech, because the full slate of games for majority of the Power 5 are going to be on week 1. That's why they say that. And you have buys sprinkled in there as well. Then you have UIW at Nichols. You have Tarleton State at Portland State, all on August 23rd. Then you got Fresno State at Kansas, Sam Houston at Western Kentucky, and then UC Davis versus Mercer, Southern versus North Carolina Central, and Stanford at Hawaii. Then to top it off, you have Idaho State at UNLV, all in week 0. So then you have week 1. So you have that first little slate of games. Then you have week 1. That's when you got the Boise State South Florida game, Delaware State at Delaware, Nebraska at Cincinnati, Towson at Norfolk State. And a lot of these times are TBD because they have to do the scheduling. But the bottom line is college football is around the corner. And there's some big changes happening at the NCAA where they're trying to figure out who's making the calls. How are we going to get business done? Do these super conferences now with the Big Ten, the SEC, they're dominating college football. Do they get to call the shots? Do they get to have all the say how every NCAA Division I team is to be conducted? Are they in control of that? So it's looking like they're going to have the most say, but it's going to, obviously, it's still going to be a democratic process. Okay, everyone's going to be able to voice their concerns. They're just trying to find a way, and this is kind of being uncovered behind the scenes. You're not seeing a lot of this go on. It's really not relevant information until we hit the season, until we hit a snag in how business is conducted, rules changes, windows for transfer portal, coaching carousel stuff. When those decisions are made, when rules changes are made, they're adjusting the process, the procedure of how this type of stuff, this business, goes through the system. And once they spit out a decision on whatever that is, they want to expedite that. So that's what's happening behind closed doors. But really, the fans could care less about that because you got college football coming in less than 2 weeks. Actually, just about 2 weeks. So college football is on the horizon. We're going to ramp up production for the Gin College podcast. That's coming back. Sam Vitale is glued to this week 0 slate. I got to imagine. He's already told me about it. He's blowing on my phone about it. And I'm excited for him. I'm excited for the week 1. I'm excited for Labor Day because that's when you're seeing a lot of great football. Thursday, 28th, Friday, August 29th, Saturday, August 30th. You got the Dukes Mayo Classic on the 29th. You got the Aflac kickoff game with Syracuse and Tennessee on the 30th. And there's a lot of big games on the 30th. So, you got Alabama, you got Florida State, you got LSU, you got Clemson, you got North Carolina. That's when the true week 1 begins, in my opinion. Okay, then that trickles, it travels all the way into Sunday, all the way into Monday, and before you know it, you're in week 2. So we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We don't want to talk about this more than we have to. We're going to get Sam Vitale on here, and he's going to tell us about this opening slate of games because I got to hear what he has to say about it. Forgot to talk about this at the beginning of the show. So Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel bloodied after a practice scuffle ensued. Okay, he got caught in the middle of a scuffle. They were practicing with the Washington Commanders, the Redskins, and he came out with a bloodied cheek. Now, he said this. That's what we're trying to build. and it starts with the head coach. Intensity, bringing it every day, taking no crap when we're out there on the field. That was said by Patriots quarterback Drake May. The mentality, I like it. That's what I want. That's what you want. That's what everybody wants, Drake. That's what we got to see. Okay, we go back to the Kirby Joseph scuffle of yesteryear. And that's what the people like to see. That's what Dan Campbell likes to see. That's the mentality he's trying to breed. And now we're starting to see it from Mike Vrabel. He's tired of losing all the games they've been losing. He's like, we got to bring back the TB12 Belichick mentality back to this locker room. Because right now, whatever we got going on, it's not getting done. So Drake May went on to say this: pass pro is physical. It's a physical game. Things happen out there. There's a time where obviously you don't want to come out here and fight and get into trouble. At the same time, you don't want to back down from nobody. So I'm sure coach will preach that we can't have that. But at the same time, kind of in the back of our minds, that's kind of how we want to play, the intensity. It's football, for God's sake. When the whistle is going, play hard. When the whistle stops, get off and get away. So basically, it was a big scuffle. It can't be pinpointed down to two guys, but there was a scuffle that ensued. Coach Vrabel wanted to get in there and break it up, and he came up with a bloody cheek. Now, who bloodied his cheek? That's nothing. That's not news at all. Nobody gives a shit about that. Okay, the fact of the matter is, and I'm glad that this entire thing is news, because we got to see more of this. We got to have teams that see this and be like, we got to be physical in our practices. The Lions got the shit kicked out of them by Jim Harbaugh and those Chargers. And a lot of second, third stringers are playing for the Chargers. So their depth players, their guys on the bubble of even being on the team or not, are kicking the shit out of the Lions depth players. That's got to fire these guys up. Watching that, hearing that, reading this in the news. So Drake May has that mentality. I got to imagine a lot of these NFL players, coaches, they have this mentality. The fans have this mentality. It brings it all full circle to why the commissioner and why the establishment has to pump the brakes with some of these rules changes, because you're essentially starting to dismantle the foundation of football. And nobody should have the power to do that. Period. End of story. We'll leave it at that. The Gin Sports Network Challenge 6 is coming up in just over a month. Make sure to get signed up, get registered. Hit me up to sponsor a hole or sponsor whatever the sponsors we have going on that breakdown list. Get a hold of me. I'll get it to you. I'll get you all the information you need to get signed up, to get registered. And we can't wait to see you out there on the 13th of September. It's going to be a hell of a day. It's just going to be a hell of a day. Come out there and etch your name in the stone of history. We'll leave it at that, guys. Make sure to check us out on social media. Check us out on our website, ginsportsnetwork.com. Find us on IG at ginsportsnetwork. And holler at me on Twitter at @GinCommish. And I'll be sure to get back to you. Might be nice, might not be nice. It's all about how you approach me. So we'll see you on there. We'll see you on the social media waves. We'll see you at the GSNC 6. And we'll see you here next time. For now, I'm John J. II with the Gin Sports Network podcast. Have a great night.